Like any good story, you have to have a great villain. Luckily for Star Wars, there's no shortage of great villains. Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, Thrawn, Darth Maul, Count Dooku, and so many more from movies, TV shows, comic books, and novels that it would take hours to mention them all. And while a fair bit of the well known villains have been featured heavily in the movies or have even gotten their own novels, there's one villain that I personally love that it seems doesn't get enough love. Hi, this is Tia, your content manager for Geek Vibes Nation, and I am talking about General Grievous. Premiering in the 2003 microseries The Clone Wars, most people know Grievous from Revenge of the Sith. He was featured heavily in the first few seasons of 2008's Clone Wars, but his appearances in the show fizzled out towards the end. Besides being featured in the Labyrinth of Evil and the Revenge of the Sith novels, Grievous has had a few comic book appearances. While he's simply mentioned in many books, there's no dedicated book to him. Unlike Thrawn, Maul, Sidious, and Darth Vader, General Grievous has never had his own book and has never been shown in a live-action sense other than 2005's Revenge of the Sith movie. Because General Grievous was killed at the end of the Revenge of the Sith movie and book, you have a short window in which you can feature him. That doesn't stop characters like Count Dooku from getting their own books or episodes of animated shows dedicated to them, such as Tales of the Jedi, which are actually really great behind the scenes background for Count Dooku, but I digress. There is also a debate as to which version of Grievous is better, the microseries that displayed him as a monster in the shadows kind of character, or the 2008 series that had him much more of a cackling villain that was known more for running away from fights than scaring Jedi. Now, I actually love Dave Filoni's version of Grievous and the Grievous that we got in movies and novels. There's been plenty of videos that talk about how the microseries version of Grievous wouldn't work in a long run, or how he wasn't actually nerfed in other versions, but I'm not going to go through those. I'll just link a few of the videos down below so you can get that information from people who know way more about Star Wars than I do. In Star Wars, there's essentially two continuities. You have the continuity of the main Skywalker saga and everything that came after Disney acquired the IP, or you have everything that came before it, which is known as Legends. In the main continuity, we kind of just know that Grievous was once a proud warrior, but allowed power and greed to get to his head, allowing his body to be completely replaced by mechanics and essentially losing anything that would have made him an honorable man. In Legends, it's explained that Grievous was once a Kaleesh warrior known as Quaiman al-Shalil, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. He was well loved and respected amongst his people and even had a lover who tragically died, and thus he renamed himself Grievous. Due to his people's ongoing war with another species, his people fell victim to food shortages and the planet was plunged into debt. It didn't help that the enemy, the Huck, convinced the Republic and Jedi that they were the victims, thus causing the Kalee to get the short end of the stick. Long story short, Grievous became indebted to the banking clan, and after leaving to go back to Kalee to help his people, Count Dooku, Sidious, and the banking clan planned to essentially destroy Grievous's body to put him in a metal one. They manipulated his mind so that he thought the Jedi were responsible. He was trained in the ways of the lightsaber, even though he was unable to use the Force despite Dooku injecting him with the blood of a fallen Jedi, and robbed of all pleasures in life, thus making him an incredibly angry man, hell-bent on revenge against people who weren't even responsible for his plight. Now, Grievous is a great parallel to Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. It would have been nice to have a miniseries or even a book that goes through Qui-Man's life, his relationship with Rondura, his eventual work with the banking clan, being regarded as a literal god by his people, and meeting Count Dooku. It'd be interesting to see the man who became the monster. And in many ways, Grievous is interesting because he cares so little for politics. He just wants war, but he doesn't want to rule. He doesn't have any sort of manipulative plan. He's straightforward and unrelenting. Side note, there is a great little story in the Stories of the Jedi and Sith that focuses on Darth Maul. He doesn't actually encounter the real General Grievous here, rather a vision of him while in a temple. Even Maul, fighting against a vision of Grievous, comments how he just doesn't stop being on the offensive. And the reason why Maul hates Grievous is because Grievous killed Mother Talzin in front of him. This is played out in the comic Son of Dathomir, which was meant to be in the 7th season of the Clone Wars prior to it being canceled. When the show was picked back up by Disney, that and many other stories were not included. I'd like this to either be in a book or a show. I've been really into listening to the Audible version of the Star Wars book, so I really wouldn't mind it in a novel. This is not sponsored, by the way. I just really have been loving Audible and listening to the Star Wars books. Many of them are narrated by Mark Thompson, and he does a fantastic job in everything. One of the stories, by the way, that wasn't included in season 7 is the Dark Disciple storyline that has Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos working together to try and take down Count Dooku, and they end up falling in love. And that is in a book called The Dark Disciple, was meant to be actually in the 7th season of Clone Wars, but just another example of things that were cut once Disney acquired the IP and gave fans the 7th season that they were lacking due to it being canceled. Anyway, I just don't find the time that we had with Grievous in the Clone Wars show to be enough. While there are great passages in Labyrinth of Evil and Revenge of the Sith novels, it's just not enough. Almost all other villains have had their own books to expand on. Hell, Thrawn has a lot of books on him. Not that I blame people for writing him. He's a great villain, but it'd be nice to have more Grievous. I think a great writer, even Dave Filoni, could bring Grievous back in a great way. I think it's clear that fans really love the stuff from the Clone Wars era or even right before it. It doesn't look like Star Wars is focusing much past the most recent trilogy. Everything we've seen has, for the most part, taken place during the Clone Wars or right after Return of the Jedi. Either go all the way back to the Old Republic days, or let's tell some little stories that lead up to the Clone Wars. I don't think I'm asking for much. Again, Tales of the Jedi is a nice little mini series on Disney Plus, and we got a little bit of nuggets of background for Count Dooku, some Ahsoka, and I don't think it's too much to ask if we just incorporate some of what made General Grievous in there, but that's just me. I think I've probably gone on long enough about this, and again, General Grievous is the type of character that people kind of debate which version they like the most of him, but personally, I get all the content that I can over here. So what do you think of General Grievous? Who is your favorite Star Wars villain? And would you like to watch something or even read a book that focuses more on his life before he became mechanical commander of the biggest droid army in all the galaxy? This is Tia again from Geek Vibes Nation. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. It would mean the world to us. We just recently went to New York Comic Con. We have a vlog up of that. My colleague Mike Vaughn spoke with rock legend Dee Snider himself, and I was actually fortunate enough to speak with Brian Lee O'Malley, who is the creator of the Scott Pilgrim versus the World comics. And he has come back for the Netflix show Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. So please make sure you check that out, as well as I did get a chance to speak with Robert Kirkman about the Energon universe, which is the comic book shared universe between Transformers and G.I. Joe. And if you know anything about me, you know I love me some Transformers. So that was very cool. And that is all in my New York Comic Con vlog, which you can find here on Geek Vibes Nation YouTube. Thank you again. If you like this, please give it a like and please consider subscribing. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.